We've seen pronoun, we've seen possessive pronoun. Now we are going to be seeing relative pronoun. Relative pronoun, the meaning of it, the meaning of the relative pronoun is to connect a clause or phrase to a noun or a pronoun. So, to connect a clause or a phrase. So, these words are the clause or the phrases that connects to a noun or to a pronoun. So, the examples are which, that, who, whom, whichever. So, we got 5 examples here that are going to be the relative pronouns that's going to be used in the sentence. Okay, we are taking the first 2 examples, which and that. It's always a confusion, where to use which and where to use that. It's a common grammatic mistake that people make. So let's just take a couple of examples here to see how to use which and that. That is relative pronoun in the the word has to be used in the right way of the sentence. First one, our house, which has a red door and green shutters, needs painting. Our house which has a red door and green shutters. So that means you are being so specific about that particular house. So you have one house which has a red door and green shutters, needs painting. Now when you change this to when you change this relative pronoun to that, this is where a lot of people make a mistake. They wouldn't know where to use the which and that in this particular sentence. The moment you change the relative pronoun, which is that, the meaning changes slightly. So, our house that has a red door and green shutters needs painting means they have more than one house. So, when they have more than one property, we need to specifically say which property needs the painting. So, we have to say the house that has the red door. So, that means more than one property, and that property that has the red door and green shutters needs painting. So, you saw it before when I did the which. That means it's just that one property only, which. That specifically that property. The moment you say that means it's more than one property that they own. Okay, so you can see how it changes, the meaning changes, but the sentence remains the same. Now one more example. The classroom which was painted over the summer is bright and cheerful. So we have the classroom which we have was painted over the summer, that is bright and cheerful. So that means just one particular classroom that was painted. Now, if I change this to that, the classrooms, it will become the plural because it's more than one. So, the classrooms that were painted, obviously because it becomes a plural. So, when it's one, it's was, when it's more than one, it becomes were. So, the classrooms that were painted over the summer are bright and cheerful. So, you can see how quickly the meaning has changed with the one word of that has changed from which. So, here that shows is more than one classroom. So, it's a row of classrooms, a few classrooms that were painted. So, it specifically says it is more than one. So, when it was which, it was just that particular classroom only. So, that's how it changes, and you can see like it's a very common mistakes that people make when they're writing sentences, but I hope now I've cleared it a little bit so that you know where to use which and where to use that. Okay, we are looking at who. Sentence that I have made here, the man who discovered thorium is a great scientist. An 8-year-old boy who attempted to rob a store was caught. So, you can see the action here is discovered because the man has discovered thorium. Here the action is attempted. So, the word who, it becomes a complement subject of the verb. So, here the verbs are discovered and attempted in the sentence. So, this particular word who, it complements the verb. You can even say that the man discovered thorium is a great scientist. But when the moment you add on the word who, the relative pronoun who, it becomes a little bit of an addition to the and who discovered. An 8-year-old boy, I can leave that off and say attempted to rob the store was caught. It makes the same sense. But the moment you say the 8-year-old boy who attempted, so there was an action here. So, this who complements the subject of the verb in this sentence is to rob the store was caught. So that's how the who is done. And whom, that I'm going to touch next, it will be the object of the verb. So I'll explain that with couple more sentences so you understand how to use who and where to use who. Okay, coming to whom now. We spoke about who as the subject of the verb. Whom is the object of the verb. Now the sentence I have made here, with whom am I speaking? So the action here is speaking. With whom am I speaking? To whom should I go with? But nowadays if you see, like, you know, whom is a very very British way of speaking the English, very formal. Usually people don't use this kind of formal English anymore. It might be used in like some special unique letter writings, but otherwise, you know, in speaking English, who is more popular than whom. But we have to tell you the example of like how to classify the difference. So with whom am I speaking? So that's very formal. You can even say, who am I speaking to? If you are saying it differently, who am I speaking to? It's the same meaning, with whom am I speaking, when you want to say it more formally. To whom should I go with? Who do I go with? But here, to whom should I go with? Very formally. So the, the whom is the relative pronoun to enhance the object of the verb, speaking, and go, going. Okay, now whichever is our last relative pronoun. The examples are, choose whichever one you want. He will support whichever candidate wins. Now you can see here, I could say choose which one you want. When I say which one you want, mean there is just there maybe one or two pieces there, which one you want. The moment I change it to whichever, the relative pronoun whichever one you want, mean there's many to choose from, right? The same here, he will support which candidate wins. But when you say whichever candidate wins, that means there are many candidates having a competition, and he will choose or he will support whichever the candidate who wins. So this is the relative pronouns, which, that, who, whom, whichever. So in the family of the pronoun, we have seen the pronoun by itself, we have seen the possessive pronoun, we have seen the relative pronouns, which are commonly used words that now you will understand where to use the words in the sentences. Let me summarize the pronoun. We looked at pronouns, possessive pronouns and relative pronouns. So the subject of the pronouns. So the pronouns were, I'll just summarize the whole thing again for you to refresh your memory. The pronouns examples were he, she, it, they, were, that we looked at. The possessive pronoun of the family of the pronoun we looked at was his, her, our, their, yours, which is more possessive. The relative pronouns were which, that, who, whom, and whichever. So we looked at the examples, and now you know which categories they fall into and how we use them in the sentences. So I really hope that the pronouns is a bit more clear to you now, and where to use them and the divisions of the pronouns. So thank you very much for watching the pronoun exercise that we did in the Bravo School of Easy to Learn English, and I hope this was a useful exercise to you. There are many more words that I have to go on in this, so it's just, there's a limit to how much I can talk also. We can't just go on and on. So if you want to learn more of these words, it will be available on the website of the Bravo School. Thank you so much.